going live here. Just going to find a little spot here where hopefully I can have good reception and a peaceful place to sit, so I don't get interrupted. What can I do here? There's hardly any shade around anywhere. Beautiful day. Okay, look, I am going to do this post, which isn't going to be perfect at all, and people are going to complain, because people do. I'll go down here, this will do. And so I'll also do a post, but for those of you who are willing to listen, then I'm going to outlay what has been going on with weather modification from my standpoint after a decade or two of studying the subject. And shit, maybe not a good place. Anyway, hopefully that wasp isn't going to go and get his friends. Yeah, so okay, so here's the thing. I have been doing numerous Official Information Act requests on the subject of shipping emissions. Shit, there's a lot of wasps here. Fucking hell. Excuse my language. I don't think there's a good place to sit. Natural dangers. Okay, try this seat. There might be quite so many over here. Yeah, I think I just probably sitting right over a wasp nest on a fence. Okay, here we go. So, sorry for the slow start, but if you only if you have time, watch this video, or when you have time to sit down and properly watch it, because I'm going to take my time and I'm not going to say things correctly, and I'm going to stumble through this, but that's just how it is. And if anyone doesn't like that, they can just go take a walk themselves. Okay, how do I explain this? Shit, there's more wasps over there too. Okay. How do I explain this? So I've done Official Information Act requests. I did them to the Ministry for the Environment. Ministry for the Environment, yeah, right. And I've done them to Maritime New Zealand, and I've done them to NIWA, National whatever. And I have just gotten an answer, because those three agencies have just recently merged into one, I think as a cost-cutting measure. Hi Sue, nice to see you. And by the way, those three agencies have been spending an annual budget of about over $1 billion a year. Hi Morris. Yeah. And $1 billion a year, and yet they couldn't answer my questions. And moreover, what I'm about to explain to you is that when I wrote to them about shipping emissions, firstly, Ministry for the Environment answered, and they told me that they did not take responsibility for shipping emissions. And also, in other people's letters and so forth, they wrote that they have no evidence to support shipping emissions causing weather modification, weather change in a region. But how you could actually claim that you have no evidence of something happening when you're not monitoring it, it was the subject of another Official Information Act request that I made, and they kind of basically answered that in a stupid way, as usual. And the truth is, you can't. Hi William, nice to see you there. This is a long video, or it's going to take as long as it takes, so if you don't have time to watch it, then just come back to it later, or don't bother. But I believe this is very important information on the subject of weather modification. So I went down the road of observing shipping emissions because they're easily provable. I can see them on the satellite images, and you see cloud coming from one source. Now, when I sort of did more research on this, I found that there were ships, oil tankers, at the precise geolocation of these cloud sources, if you like, on the satellite images. So in other words, what I did is I took the satellite image from the hi Angela, oh, you're going to love this one, Angela, hang in there, because this one is really my big announcement, really, and this has been years in the making, years, and I've got tears coming to my eyes how much work has gone into this, seriously. And if the bees that are around this fence here don't sting me before I make the announcement, I might live to say it. So I took the satellite image of the cloud source, I put a red dot where the source was coming from, and then I found an AI geolocator to geolocate the coordinates of that red dot. And then I went to the shipping app and ship tracking app, and I located the location of that and found an oil tanker within Kui of that red dot. Now it can be varying on that, because the ship might have moved in the time intervening between when it was last reported and where the ship is now, especially if it's moving. Anyway, so that's what I did. And then I started asking questions a bit more about this, and I've got to say, my AI has been incredible in helping me with this whole thing, because it's been writing the Official Information Act requests, and I had to smack it a few times and threaten it, and I threatened to unplug it and unwire it and so forth, and you can say these kind of things and they just come back and go, I'm hearing you, Nigel, which just pisses me off even more. But it really cross-references well when it comes to the crunch, you know, so it can write these really effective Official Information Act letters, and it cross-references everything, and it puts all the details in, and so I've been using it, right? Yeah, so that's what I've been using it for. And when I get it to write articles, simply because I could not put out the volume of information without that. I couldn't have done it, right? But it has actually allowed me to do that, and it's been incredible. It's been really an incredible journey. Okay, so I managed to do all of this. I started writing letters to the government. I got the one back from the Ministry for the Environment saying that they have no responsibility for it, they don't monitor it, and they have no evidence of it. So I write to Maritime New Zealand. I finally get answers from them. No, they don't take responsibility for it. Maybe it's the Ministry for the Environment. I mean, there was all this toing and froing and so forth. And then I went to NIWA, and they took forever. By the time they had answered me, it came back as an earth science email, anyway, from the same people in the end. And, excuse me, and so I got that letter a few days ago, and I think I posted it, haven't I? Yeah, I'm sure I have. And it basically said, we do not take responsibility, neither Ministry for the Environment, Maritime New Zealand, NIWA, whatever. No government agencies are monitoring shipping emissions. They do monitor ship fuels, right? But they do not monitor ship emissions. Now, let me do a little background on this, because this is important, and this is why this is going to be long, and it's going to be a full explanation. Okay. So, in order to understand this, you've got to understand a shitload, because I had to work all this out, and I had to ask AI, and I had to look at things and so forth. Ship emissions were a perfect entry level because they were provable. Now, what happens is ship emissions contain sulfur, and in 2020 sulfur was regulated in shipping emissions. It was lowered, not eliminated, but lowered. The levels were tightened up so they couldn't allow as much sulfur in the fuel as before. Now, in a study by a guy, and I'd have to go hunt back and find the guy, a scientist in a university in US, did a whole study on this, right? There are whole studies on how this happens, how ship trails, they call them ship trails, get created. And he did a study because when they tightened up the shipping emissions in 2020 to lower the sulfur emissions, what happened is in the Mediterranean there was a huge reduction in the ship trails. Now in the Mediterranean there were so many frickin' ships that you could literally sink the Titanic. No, that's probably not a good way of explaining it. There's a shitload of ships. And so when they lowered the shipping emissions of sulfur, what happened was the ocean temperature increased as a result, right? Now what that tells you is very important. That tells you that the emissions were significant enough to cloud the entire region, reflect the sun, and lower the temperatures. Are you hearing me? Right? Now, what I noticed from this is all sort of makes sense when you start following the pattern of it, I assure you. But what I noticed with the oil tankers and the container ships as well, right? They have incredibly big engines, and we checked all of this out. I checked it all out with AI, the size of the engines, the capabilities and so forth, and how much fuel they burn, and I mean we went right through the whole 9 yards on this thing, or 3 meters, or however you want to say that. Anyway, the big ships like those, they have to have a lot of energy to shift those loads around. It's not like cruise ships. Cruise ships can be relatively light, you know, and so forth. But the big container ships and the oil tankers and so forth, these ones have got the grunt, and they burn a lot of ship fuel, diesel, and so forth. Okay. I'm just trying to keep this whole track flowing here. Okay, so from there, I looked at these ship trails from the tankers, and I saw that they were drifting over New Zealand. And then sure enough, after that, there was heavy rain and so forth, right? So I'm not making this shit up. I mean, it's just what I saw and what was reported and so forth. So I did a few geolocations, and you know, one for one, that there were tankers there, and I didn't always catch the tanker because it will have moved, but it was pretty clearly the same thing, you know, so I couldn't always prove it. But the ones that I could prove, I did all of the due diligence on. I reported its location, I showed it on the ship tracking map app, and what ship it was, and the satellite image with the red dot, the red dot sail. Yeah. Okay. So I tried writing these letters to the government, and as I say, the final one came back on, what was it, 24th of March, I think it was, and they say they take no responsibility for this, right? And that they don't record it, they don't monitor it, right? Now, despite $1 billion a year in funding, they don't even frickin' monitor something that changes the weather for the entire regions in New Zealand? Can you figure with that? I can't. It just doesn't make sense. Now, there's an important point I'm coming to here that's just going to blow your mind on this whole thing. But I'm getting to it. I'm just trying to get all of this information out, and really, I tell you what, this has been a big journey. Okay, so the next step was this. I discovered in the process of all of this some important information, and that is that sulfur, how this works. Okay, let's go through how this works. Sulfur comes out as sulfur dioxide and sometimes sulfur trioxide, right? And the sulfur trioxide comes out in very small amounts, and sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide are called CCNs, which is cloud condensation nuclei. I have mentioned this a lot for those who have read my posts. So you have no excuses. And if you haven't, if you want to go back, the post is still pinned to the top of my group page on Earth, Weather and Quake Pulse Facebook group. And you can read it all there. I've done my homework. CCNs, cloud condensation nuclei. What happens is they go out the ship funnel, right? And they attract water vapor. And they attract it and make it into bigger particles, if you like. And that, what happens technically is that as that is happening, as the water is condensing into bigger particles, it is cooling the air in that surrounding area, right? I'm doing hand movements here, but you probably can't see them, of course, but you know how you swing your hands around. Anyway, nobody around? No? Okay, carry on. So that cooling of the area, the air around the CCN, the sulfur dioxide, that cooling creates more condensation, and so it kind of starts a chain reaction of cloud formation from that point. And so once one area cools off, it condenses, and that cooler air spreads and cools off another area, and that condenses, and then that cools off another area. And when you've got a wind drift coming through or coming past, what you see is on the satellite images of Met Service, you see a spread coming from a single point, a spread of cloud coming from a single point, and that single point is the ship. Okay, so that's the sort of technical part of it, right? And then there is one more part that is just mind-blowing, right? And actually there's two more parts that are mind-blowers, right? Hi Marlene. And so here's the next bit, right? Everyone thinks, you know, and I posted some photos of ships, and people are going, well, I don't see much pollution, it must be all bullshit, right? I don't see much pollution coming from there. And then when I did post, I found a ship that had lots of bloody smoke coming out of it. It was just an online picture, and I posted that with one of the articles. That must be fake, you know, no ship. So I get all this shit. I get all this, you know, the trolls, all the critical comments, all the perfectionists. So anyway, I'll carry on. The funniest part of all of this is that the parts that are CCNs are invisible. Now, just let me repeat that. The parts that are CCNs are invisible. What pollution is happening, what cloud creation is happening, is happening from something you cannot see. That is just, honestly, it's a mind blower. You think, oh, look at that, chemtrail, right? And I'm going to get into chemtrails in a real fast moment here, but understand this one principle is everybody's been fooled, right? It's not what you are thinking. When you see a chemtrail, right? Okay, it's a chemtrail, right? There's one and more important element in all of this, right? So I'm just reading Angela. So that could explain the plumes that appear out at sea before cyclones. Absolutely, 100%. So carrying on with what I'm saying here. So the pollution part, the weather modification part, the CCNs, the cloud condensation nuclei, are invisible. For fuck's sakes, all of this time, people were going, oh, look at that, and, what they're seeing is not the part that's actually doing the weather modification. Right? Now, I'm going to cross over real fast here. I was trying to prove ship emissions because they were provable. You could just look and you could go, shit, look, that's coming from one spot. There's an oil tanker there. How hard is it for the government to see that? Well, the government never would, right? Because they don't look, right? And they refuse to look, and they don't fucking well care. Excuse my language, right? So, Mary, hello. And you came on just when I'm swearing. I'm sorry. I'm eternally sorry. Wuramu. Get it? Hello. So here we go. So carrying on, you can watch this whole thing through once I've posted it and so forth. So anyway, moving from shipping emissions, right? I was trying to prove shipping emissions, and I was trying to get the government to admit to shipping emissions. They didn't even fucking monitor it, for fuck's sakes. See, my language is going down, and this is when I get passionate, I start the language deteriorates quickly. Okay, so we're moving to chemtrails. I haven't for the last long time, I haven't reported much about chemtrails, and the reason was because I wanted to focus on the shipping emissions, because chemtrails, I've tried, we've written, I was doing Official Information Act request to the government bloody 10 years ago on the subject, or even longer, on the subject of chemtrails. Couldn't get any answers. And in fact, Malcolm Scott at the time was at University of Canterbury doing an entire thesis on the subject. He came to me and consulted with me because I was like the most out there, on the subject person, like looking for answers. And he quoted my Official Information Act requests in his thesis. And the basic outcome of that was that the military, it's above government level what is going on with chemtrails, and so forth. And that, so most of the government don't know, excepting for those who are bloody built-in CIA assets. And now we've got the FBI in New Zealand. Well, yeah, okay, let's keep to the subject here. So one night, and I have these light bulb moments. And one night I went to AI and I said, well, is there sulfur in the jet fuel? Yes, there is sulfur in the jet fuel. That means that what you got, despite any other chemicals that they're putting in, right, they have been putting sulfur, they have sulfur in the jet fuel. And this is known about, and it's discussed, and it has been a matter of concern internationally, right? Has been a matter of concern because they know that sulfur creates cloud condensation nuclei, that it's a cloud former. Right? They know that. They know this, and they even have discussed implementing, cutting it out because of that problem, right? And I mean, honestly, this is just like mind-blowing, this whole thing, right? So the reason they didn't block it out and haven't up to this point in time is because they were worried that it would put the price of fuel up, jet fuel, and so that, you know, would make it uneconomic for them. Yeah, right. Now, for a starter, let me list all the things that I'm not against. Right, I'm I'm actually not against mining. I'm not against oil rigs. I'm not necessarily what you would call a clean person. And I'm not against weather modification. I'll tell you why in a moment, which is kind of scary and surprising. But anyway, they put sulfur in jet fuel. Getting back to what I'm saying, somebody's put here, Angela. Senator Malcolm Roberts wanted to fly me to Queensland to look at my evidence, but Jamie said no. People like that, disappear. Oh my God, I haven't been knocked off yet. I'm filming in a discreet location. Hopefully they won't zap me yet, but I'm okay. So anyways, there's a lower amount in the shipping emissions, but there's sulfur in there. Now, what that tells you then, and also, right, put that together with that, so the sulfur dioxide is invisible, right? And what that tells me is this, and this is a game changer, right? Very important point, right? When you see contrails, and when you see, and people say, oh, that's not a chemtrail, that's a contrail, right? Well, the truth of the matter is that whether it's a contrail, whether it's a chemtrail, right, it's all frickin' chemicals, it's all CCNs, it's all weather modification, right? Right? You understand what I'm saying, right? A plane flies over, you got weather modification happening automatically. Your weather is being modified, right? Now, sure, they absolutely do it, and there's concerted campaigns for it, but it's happening anyway, right? Man, this is what I'm getting through on this whole thing. It's like you now have what I have been researching on this thing, and I have people coming into my chat groups and my pages, my group pages, and they're going, oh, the ships have, they've got cloud machines. They've got cloud machines on the back of them. I've seen them. I've seen photos of them on the internet. Well, sure, you might have, but that's not what's doing this. It's coming out the ship funnels, mate. And why would you bother having a cloud machine on the back of a fucking ship if you have it pouring out the ship funnel and you don't need any to hide it? You don't need anything more than that. Silly, right? And why would you need to, worry when every jet has jet fuel in it? So, we got the technique all sorted there, you see. And so there's your answer, and that's a bit of a game changer in my opinion, right? Okay, so and this takes me to the final kind of piece in all of this, which is so ironic. so incredibly ironic. So I'm thinking about this whole thing, and I'm kind of, working around this in my head and out of my head, wherever else, and I'm like going, okay, well, we've got all sorts of things going on, all sorts of factors. Doesn't look like there's any chemtrails out there today, but the cloud cover is there and so forth. Anyway, so I'm thinking about, okay, what about all of this, right? What would happen if tomorrow we just turned off all of the pollution in the world? You'd think that would be great, wouldn't it, right? knock off all of the chemtrails, all of the ship emissions and so forth, right? And that might happen very shortly when they run out of fuel, if that happens, if they decide to do that, which we all know is engineered anyway. Oh, I've got some people showing up here. Oh, I see, it's okay. It's just a bike park, which does give you a lead on where I am, but you'd have to know where that bike park is. And I'm not hiding anyway, it's just a good place where I can get good reception and so forth. So you'd think that it would be good if you could turn all the pollution off, just like bam, you know. Well, it wouldn't be, right? And there's one important reason why, and that is deforestation. In the last 150 years, you know, I don't know exactly the dates, but you know, there has been a huge amount of deforestation going on the planet, and so much so that if you took the whole of US and you took the whole of Mexico and you put them all together, all of that was forested and is now not, right? Except it's in the Amazon and it's in New Zealand and so forth. And this leads, and you see, you've got deforestation of, and the key word is rainforests, right? Why they're called rainforests? They're called rainforests because they create rain. When you chop all those down, they don't create rain anymore, right? So what do we have that creates rain? Well, we have insufficient forests on the planet to create enough rain to actually, for the planet at this time. And I even heard Dane Wigington speaking on that subject recently, but I came to this entirely on my own cognizance, my own research. So if you cut all the pollution out, there would not be enough trees to actually compensate for that. Now you think about New Zealand. Oh, New Zealand's got lots of forests. Yeah, well, we have some native forest, right? That's called rainforest because it's got the hardwoods and so forth. The radiata pine forests are not rainforests. They do not have the same capacity for rainmaking. They don't, and they actually really bad for the environment. They cause the soils to be acidic and so forth. Okay, which brings me on, because I'm sort of following my whole path of research, right, to this, is that I also discovered that sulfur dioxide, when it's been in the air for quite a time, what happens is it turns to sulfuric acid. Heard of that one before? Sulfuric acid. It's pretty strong stuff. Yes, you got it. Acid rain, right? So while our first visions of acid rain may be sort of from a science fiction story or a cartoon or something of people getting rained on and burned by the acid, well, I guess if you've got sensitive skins, yeah, absolutely. But what that does is it has bad consequences on orchards, on agriculture and so forth. So I also did an Official Information Act request on that subject, and I haven't had an answer on that one yet either. But I know what the answer will already be, is that they are not. Or did I get an answer? I can't even recall on that one. I've been doing them on so many different subjects, on roadside drug testing. I've done it on health, nutrition, all sorts of things. 1080, yeah. So anyway, it's getting rather crowded around here, isn't it? See, when I go anywhere, I just attract people, just whatever, Anyway, Angela, they said they wanted to spray that to combat pollution. Remember, have videos of that. Scientists saying, yeah, okay, well, yeah. So anyway, So, where was I? We had the acid rain thing. So if you wonder why your plants aren't doing as well, there's your why on that as well, and that is what's in the jet fuel and in the shipping emissions, and that's all blowing over your property. Isn't that a bugger? And the government are not interested in it, will not even sort of blink an eye on the subject, and that is why, and I've been blocked from all mainstream media. I have tried to contact alternative media like Reality Check Radio, various other ones, and nobody replies. You know, I don't think people like me much. I don't think they like me much. I think I don't know, I just don't impress them or something. I seem like a bit of an idiot to them or whatever, but anyway, I've done what I could. I've put it all out there, and pretty much to me the subject is summed up because I've done it. I've tracked it, and what the only solution I can really see is that we as a race, like humanity really, and you know, here I can start sounding like a fucking climate activist or ecologist or something like that, but really we need to start planting native forests all over the world, and in the meanwhile keep doing what we're doing, but cut down on the sulfur just gradually to the point where there's none, and at that point in time, if there is enough rainforest to actually, you know, make a difference. I mean, there are ways, you know, there are fast growing ones and stuff as well, but that's what needs to happen. And at that point in time, if we haven't blown ourselves up in nuclear war, then as a race, humanity might stand a chance, you know. Angela, just sorry, it was a late night show as well. Host was laughing, saying acid rain and put more pollution in the sky. Yeah, okay, cool. Find it on this comment feed when you post it. Oh, yeah, that'd be good. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much the crux of it. I actually got through that reasonably well, and I think I pretty much told you the guts of it, really. Yeah, I'd hoped to actually sort of bring this to government attention and so forth, but it's just like these people are just, you know, anal about the whole thing. They're just so horrible. I've got two, by the way, on different subjects, but I've got 2 Official Information Act requests now that have gone up to the Ombudsman as complaints. Well, I even got threatened by one of them. Like, you know, if you post any more questions like this, we're going to refuse it. We're just going to stop, you know, answering you. They're not even allowed to do that. It's just sicko, man. These guys, and why? Because they won't admit. And you know, you see this whole picture here is that we've got people who are in good paid jobs, these government politicians and so forth, and when they see something like this, they see it as a threat against their employment. They see, because they don't want to shake the, what do you call it? You know, they don't want to shake the boat or whatever you want to call it. You know, they don't want to stir things up that might endanger their job because they could be seen as a conspiracy theorist. Also, you know, this is all complicit shit, and this is the same thing that got us into trouble with the whole COVID thing and so forth. Is that you got people, honestly, I mean, my underlying lesson in all of this is if you don't have integrity and to be able to speak up and say what you see, what you observe, and not be honest and go along with a script just because everyone else is pushing along with it and that it might endanger your job, go, you know, just piss off. I don't want to know you, because we are coming after you more than anyone else, because you are the people who are putting our lives in danger when you go along with that stuff. It's just horrible. Anyway, well, who's that? Is it, okay, trying to read that name. Tingman McGill. Okay, cool. Hi. Look, so anyway, I've laid out what I was going to say, and I think that's pretty much it, really. Unless anyone has any quick questions or anything, but that's about the long and short of it. And I just tried to get the words out and try to get it all, you know, in some sort of format where you'd understand what's going on. But listen to it again if you like, and get, you know, share it and so forth. But I'm over this, man. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'll keep going with it, but there's not really anywhere I can go on it, you know. I mean, stand down there with a frickin' sign, you know, go protest it, whatever. I mean, what do? You know, you can't. The media are complicit on the whole thing as well. It's just useless. So that's called, yeah, selling their soul. Yeah, totally, Angela. Selling their soul. Yeah. So, you know, I hope that they get all the bad things that are coming to them for that. I really hope they get all of it, because you know, in the last year, my brother and my mother both died, and which I both believe were due to the COVID vaccination, although it wasn't disclosed that they were, but I believe so. I know my mother had just had another flu shot and a booster at the same time. Anyway, I couldn't argue it with her, you know. So and both of them went before their time. They were both healthy up to that point. So, you know, what do? You know, I mean, anyway, I've put it out there and share this around, and you know, I'm not expecting you to feel sorry for me. I just expect that we need to get this message out more, and I'm not about to fall apart or anything like that. I can assure you of that. I'm just seeing what I think. Getting the public, yeah, getting the public make the change, and you can't change the system with the corrupt system. Yeah, I agree. I mean, my only solution is really just make a lot more people aware, make them wake up, you know, realise what's going on, and that's all we can really do on it, you know. And if we do that fast enough, then we might save the planet. If we don't, then well, screw the lot of us, eh? We'll meet on some other planet as you know, single cell creatures trying to evolve, and we can make friends again, and you know, procreate, become go from the ocean to the land, and develop as species again. Yeah, do it all over again, you know, or maybe the same again on this planet once the nuclear fallout is all eased off, and we can have a fourth shot at it. Yeah. Yeah, well, thank you all so much for listening, and yeah, and I am going to thank you all so much for listening, and I'm going to end off here and get back. My wife, we spent too much this morning and got some new fry pans, and my wife made pancakes for lunch, which is unbelievable. No, they're nice. She's very good at it, and she's just in the process of making a cake apparently. And these are very rare things, so I'm going to get my ass home and have some, albeit unhealthy. But I do try to keep healthy most of the time. Oh God. Okay, well, have a nice afternoon, and as I say, share this, and you know, take care, but just listen to it again if you you know, want to see the whole picture, if you came in halfway through this. And I personally, I think this is a huge discovery, just the whole chain. I've just laid it all out, and we don't have to wonder anymore. Thanks a lot. Okay, bye, over and out.